We're living in some crazy times, man. We got cameras everywhere now, capturing everything. And some of the things they're catching, well, they're straight up disturbing. Especially when it comes to police brutality. I mean, these are the people who are supposed to protect and serve, right? But then you see these videos and it's like, what the hell is going on? It's like something out of a nightmare. Today we're diving deep into 5 of the most violent police attacks ever caught on camera. Brace yourselves, folks, because this one's gonna be heavy. Let's rewind back to 1991 Los Angeles. Rodney King, he's driving, gets pulled over after a high-speed chase. Now the cops, they approach the car, and what follows is just brutal. They start beating King with their batons like over and over. It's relentless. 56 blows, man. 56. And the whole thing, it's caught on tape by a guy with a camcorder on his balcony. The footage goes viral, man. I mean, this was before social media even, and the whole world saw it. People were outraged, and rightfully so. This wasn't just excessive force, it was straight-up savagery. Fast forward to 2020 Minneapolis, a city known for its vibrant culture and beautiful landscapes, now thrust into the global spotlight for a tragic reason. George Floyd, a black man, is pinned to the ground by a police officer, Derek Chauvin. This moment, captured on camera, would soon become a symbol of systemic racism and police brutality. Chauvin's got his knee on Floyd's neck, pressing down with all his weight. The sheer force and disregard for human life is evident in every second of the footage. Floyd's begging for his life, saying he can't breathe. His voice, filled with desperation, echoes the cries of countless others who have faced similar fates. He says it again and again, "I can't breathe." Each repetition is a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the urgent need for change. But Chauvin, he doesn't budge. His cold indifference is a stark contrast to Floyd's desperate pleas. He keeps his knee there for over 9 minutes. 9 minutes, man. That's an eternity when someone's life is hanging in the balance. Bystanders, they're pleading with the cops, filming the whole thing. Their voices, filled with urgency and disbelief, add to the growing tension. The video, it hits the internet and explodes. Within hours, it spreads like wildfire, igniting outrage and sorrow across the globe. It's like a punch in the gut to the whole world. People everywhere are shocked, heartbroken, and angry. The raw emotion is palpable. Protests erupt everywhere, demanding justice for George Floyd and an end to police brutality. The streets fill with voices united in their call for change, echoing a sentiment that has been long overdue. People from all walks of life come together, holding signs, chanting slogans, and marching in solidarity. The movement transcends borders, with demonstrations taking place in cities around the world. Candlelight vigils are held, memorials are created, and communities gather to pay their respects. The collective grief and determination to seek justice are evident in every gesture. The media covers the story extensively, with news anchors, experts, and panelists discussing the implications of Floyd's death. The conversation shifts to broader issues of systemic racism and the urgent need for police reform. Lawmakers debate new policies, activists speak at rallies, and community leaders address crowds, all pushing for meaningful change. The momentum builds, fueled by a collective desire for justice and equality. In the face of adversity, unity emerges. People of different races, backgrounds, and beliefs come together, holding hands and standing in solidarity. It's a powerful reminder that change is possible when we stand together. The faces in the crowd, filled with hope and determination, include children holding signs for justice. Future generations are inspired by the movement, carrying forward the torch of change. Murals and artwork honoring George Floyd and other victims of police brutality appear in communities, serving as both a tribute and a call to action. These creative expressions capture the spirit of the movement and the demand for justice. Emotional moments unfold at protests, with people hugging and supporting each other. The unity and compassion displayed are a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the fight for justice. As the sun rises over Minneapolis, there's a sense of renewal and hope. The journey for justice is far from over, but the collective efforts of millions have sparked a movement that promises a brighter future. Chapter 3. Eric Garner, the chokehold heard around the world. This chapter delves into the tragic and pivotal moment that brought the issue of police brutality to the forefront of global consciousness. In 2014, on the streets of Staten Island, New York, an incident occurred that would forever change the conversation around law enforcement and community relations. Staten Island, a borough known for its quiet neighborhoods and bustling streets, became the epicenter of a national outcry. Eric Garner, a 43-year-old African-American man, was approached by police officers on suspicion of selling loose cigarettes, a minor offense. Garner, a father of 6, was well known in his community, often seen as a gentle giant. The confrontation quickly escalated. Garner, who had been arrested multiple times for similar offenses, expressed his frustration and reluctance to be detained again. The situation grew tense as more officers arrived on the scene. Officer Daniel Pantaleo, one of the responding officers, decided to use a chokehold to subdue Garner. This maneuver, banned by the NYPD due to its dangerous nature, was applied with excessive force. Garner, who had asthma, immediately began to struggle for breath. As Garner gasped for air, he repeatedly uttered the words, "I can't breathe," a haunting phrase that would later become a rallying cry for the Black Lives Matter movement. He said it 11 times, each plea more desperate than the last. The parallels to the later George Floyd incident are striking and deeply unsettling. Despite his cries for help, the officers did not release their hold. Garner eventually lost consciousness and was left lying on the sidewalk. Paramedics arrived, but it was too late. Eric Garner was pronounced dead at the hospital, his last moments captured in a harrowing video. The entire incident was recorded by a bystander, whose footage would soon ignite a firestorm of public outrage. The video showed the brutal reality of Garner's final moments, a stark contrast to the official police reports. The video quickly went viral, spreading across social media platforms and news outlets. It sparked a wave of protests, not just in New York City, but across the United States and around the world. People were horrified by what they saw and demanded accountability. The public outcry was immense. Protesters took to the streets chanting "Justice for Eric Garner" and calling for an end to police brutality. The incident forced a national conversation about the use of excessive force by law enforcement and the systemic issues that allow such tragedies to occur. Eric Garner's death became a symbol of the urgent need for police reform and greater accountability. Chapter 4, Michael Brown, a shot heard in Ferguson. August 2014, Ferguson, Missouri. A small city that would soon become the epicenter of a national crisis. The events that unfolded here would not only shake the local community, but also reverberate across the entire nation, igniting a fierce debate about race, justice, and policing in America. Michael Brown, an unarmed black teenager, is shot and killed by a white police officer, Darren Wilson. Brown was just 18 years old, a recent high school graduate with his whole life ahead of him. The confrontation between Brown and Wilson quickly escalated, leading to the fatal shooting that would forever change Ferguson. The details of the shooting are disputed, with conflicting accounts from witnesses and law enforcement. Some say Brown had his hands up in surrender, while others claim he was charging at the officer. But what's not disputed is that Brown was unarmed when he was killed. His death became a symbol of the systemic issues facing black communities in America. His body lay in the street for hours. Hours, man. This stark image of Brown's lifeless body, covered with a sheet left to bake in the summer sun, became a powerful and painful symbol of the perceived disregard for black lives. It was a scene that would haunt the community and fuel the anger and frustration that was already simmering. The shooting sparks protests and riots in Ferguson, with people demanding justice for Michael Brown and an end to racial profiling and police brutality. The streets of Ferguson were filled with chants of "Hands up, don't shoot," and "No justice, no peace." The community's grief and anger were palpable, and the protests quickly gained national attention. The Ferguson unrest becomes a flashpoint in the national conversation about race and policing in America. The images of heavily armed police clashing with protesters, the tear gas, the rubber bullets, all broadcast on national television, forced the country to confront the deep-seated issues of racial inequality and police violence. The events in Ferguson would inspire a new wave of activism and bring the Black Lives Matter movement to the forefront of the national consciousness. November 2014, Cleveland, Ohio. 12-year-old Tamir Rice is playing with a toy gun in a park when a police car pulls up. Within seconds, Officer Timothy Lohman shoots Rice, who tragically dies from his injuries. The toy gun, it turns out, was an airsoft pistol with the orange safety tip removed. The shooting is captured on surveillance video, and it's just heartbreaking. A 12-year-old boy, man, playing with a toy gun. It sparks national outrage and protests, with people demanding justice for Tamir Rice and questioning the use of deadly force against a child. These are just a few examples of the countless cases of police brutality that have been caught on camera. It's a serious issue, man, and it's not going away on its own. We need to have some real conversations about police reform, about accountability, about systemic racism. We can't just sit here and pretend this isn't happening. It's time to wake up, people. It's time to demand better. It's time for justice.